Okay. Demon just got out of can. I gave my bro an advance. Love is just not in my plans. My life is you and your mess.
Hey guys, Jack here and welcome back to a new series / video on my channel. Now I've been telling you guys for a while now on Twitter and my social medias that I'm going to be releasing a new series called Retro Gaming, and as you can tell by the title of this video, it's going to be for the PlayStation 1. Now the idea is for this series that I want to start collecting old generation consoles again, such as the GameCube, the N64, the Game Boy, and I'm going to do a little in-depth review, a little bit of information about the console every time I get a new one, and this is basically for my personal self so that I can basically watch them back and see in the future. If I ever decide to get rid of one, I can see that I had one and see, you know, a little bit of facts about it, and also to help you guys out if you're interested in these types of consoles. So today, as you can tell by the title of this video, it's for the PlayStation 1. Now the PlayStation 1 was a console that was released on the 3rd of December 1994. I was born in 1997 on the 11th of June, so I had a 3-year gap. This was out 3 years before I was even born, and this was a console that probably was one of, if not the first console that I ever played, and it was just an amazing console. PlayStation itself is a console that was made by Sony, but it was originally going to be a partnership with Nintendo, but Sony kind of took it solo and bought it out themselves. The PlayStation was known as many different names. It was known as the PS1, the P-Zone, the PlayStation, the PSX, and they're just a couple of the names it was also known as. Here's a PlayStation disc, and here's an Xbox disc. They're exactly the same in size, but the back is different. So obviously on an Xbox disc it's like silver, grey kind of colour. On a PlayStation, the back of it was black. Now I don't know if a lot of you know this, but basically a PS1 disc is black on the background, and it made absolutely no difference to it at all. It could have been silver, it could have been whatever colour. They made it black for the aesthetics alone. They just wanted the disc to look nice, and it has no actual like purpose. It's just black because they wanted the disc to stand out. Now surprisingly, PS1 games were still in the making in 2006, so they were still creating PS1 games up until 2006, which is 12 years after they released the console. Now the PS2 was still out at this point, but because the PS1 was so popular, they were still bringing out games on the PS1. PS1 was in production until 2004, and up until that point they had sold over 102 million of the consoles alone. The console came in a variety of colours. It came in grey, white, black, green and blue, and there was also limited edition consoles that were suited around certain games. PS1's most popular game was Gran Turismo, and it actually took 5 years to develop. So there's just a couple of facts about the PS1. Now let's go into detail. So I haven't actually shown you what the PS1 looked like, so this is what a PS1 looked like. From an Xbox and like an old and a newer generation console, they are a lot smaller. Now the main thing about a PS1 was the fact that pressing this button obviously turned it on. When you went onto a game, and I will probably show you this with a couple of video clips or me in the corner or something, when you went onto a game and you wanted to go back to the home screen, now it's not as easy as Xbox, where you can just press a middle button on the console. So like pressing this button on a console and it will take you back to home. You actually had to reset the console and go back to normal, so you'd have to take the disc out, reset the console. Now obviously in 1994 they didn't have the technology that they do now to put a disc in and it reads it and then you press the button and it comes back out. You actually had to press this button here, and then the top came up, you put your disc in there, and the same to take it out, and then when you took the disc out you had to shut it and press the reset button so it would then reset. Now I actually bought this off eBay. It cost me 25 quid, which is quite a lot for an older generation console, but I know hopefully this will give me a potential return in the future, so I hope to keep this for a very long time. I remember I had one when I was younger, and then we got rid of it at a car boot sale. If you're American, I think it's called a garage sale or something like that. But I basically got rid of this at a car boot when I was younger for about £5, and now they're worth 25 quid. So I was a bit stupid back in the day, but I was only young, so I can't really hate myself for it. Games that I actually bought this with, so when I bought it on eBay, the seller said basically you get it with 2 games that are completely random, you don't get to choose them. And the 2 games that he sent to me were World's Scariest Police Chases and N-Gen Racing, and I won't be playing either of these just because I feel like I don't really have an interest in either of them. So comparing the size of the case to an Xbox One case, for example, obviously they were a lot smaller but a lot more chunkier. Obviously I like the design of having it bold and black so you can basically see what it is. On an Xbox obviously the text is a lot smaller, but it works just as well. games that I am looking to get on this console were games that I had when I was younger, because the whole reason of me getting an older generation console is the fact of the whole nostalgia around it. A lot of people were saying that, you know, I want a GameCube, and a lot of people were telling me that you could just buy a Wii because they do exactly the same thing, but for me, that's not the same, because I'm not playing it on an older generation console. I'm playing it on the Wii, which is not as old as the GameCube. But that's the whole reason of me getting older consoles, is for the nostalgia of actually playing on that console and not actually playing the games for it. As I said, the games that I want to get are the games that I had with this console when I was younger, and that's Crash Bandicoot Racing, Crash Bandicoot in general, because I think there was a Crash Bandicoot game that came out. There was Spider-Man 2, which I actually played a lot on this when I was younger, and I remember playing it. And there's also a game called Rugrats. I'll put them on screen so you can see pictures, so you know, if you don't actually know the names, maybe you played them when you were younger and you recognise the pictures. But yeah, there are a couple of games that I'm wanting to get. A lot of people have told me, why are you buying a retro console? You're not going to play it all the time. And for me, it's not the fact of me playing it all the time. I will predominantly play my Xbox a lot more than I will my PS1. That's inevitably going to happen because this has better graphics, it has better games coming out, games are still released for this. So I will obviously play this console more than my PS1. But the reason I got the PS1 is so I could delve back into those times and play that console whenever I feel whenever I feel like I want to. I don't want it to be a console that I sit and play for hours and hours, because it is an older generation console and the technology isn't new. Now obviously the PS1 is exactly the same pretty much as the PS4 controller. It's just obviously changed a little bit since then. So obviously back in the day it was wired, you couldn't get a wireless, I don't think you could get a wireless controller. If you could, I'll put a picture on screen, I'll try and research it. It had 3 slots and then 9 pins that slotted into the PS1. Now again, as I said about this console, it's older generation, which is obvious to all of you. You had to have a memory card, and if you see here, I don't know if that's going to focus, but if you see here, it says memory card, and then you had memory card 1 and 2, and that is where all your saves went onto. There wasn't a hard drive for you to save games onto that was built into the console. The hard drive was inevitably the memory card that you clipped in, and then it would keep on all your saves on your memory card. And for me, that was kind of easier, because then you could go to a mate's house, take your memory card with you, and all your saves would come with you. So I mean, it was good in that sense. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say today on the whole PS1 topic. As I said, this will be a series, so as I get older generation consoles like the Game Boy and the GameCube, which is what I'm hoping to get next, I will also do a little bit of a video on them, just telling you some facts, some experiences that I've had with them and why I love them so much. As you can see, I've also got a Switch, which I bought recently. Obviously, as I'm not producing videos as often anymore, you guys won't stay in touch with stuff like my consoles. Unless you follow me on social medias, you won't know what's going on in my life. So as you can see, I bought a Switch not long ago, and I bought it with Mario Kart, and I do want to get games like Zelda, because I just love Nintendo. I love the Nintendo Wii. I didn't play the Wii U because apparently it wasn't as good, but the Switch is something that really interested me, and I wanted to buy one, and I did, so exactly that. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and it intrigued you about the PlayStation, and maybe you, obviously I wasn't born when the PlayStation was around, but maybe you've never played the PlayStation. If you are the type of person who's really into retro consoles, I would definitely recommend getting it, because there are so many good games on it, like the ones that I've mentioned, Crash Bandicoot, Rugrats and things like that. There were some amazing games that came out on the console. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to smash a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and I will see you next time. Peace.